originally from Durham, North Carolina, and my background and my prior experiences before I got to college really played a big role in what you see me doing now, farming and working with youth and trying to get involved as much of what's positive of what's going on in the community. So I actually went to the early childhood program at North Carolina Central, and as I tell people, that was a really nurturing experience because we had all black teachers. And I just saw how, I had a younger age, I didn't see it there, but I saw it later on, how just having that support from your people, what it does to your body. So then after I left preschool, I went to R.N. Harris in Durham, North Carolina. And R.N. Harris was another predominantly black school, and we had all black teachers. Like the whole time I was there, I had black teachers. And it also showed me the nurturing, and there was an understanding that existed there that I didn't see when I got to middle and high school. Because I actually went to private school after elementary, and I went from being the majority to a minority, and then having culturally, there wasn't a connection between me and the community of the school. So as I got older, I just started to see different things like in the schools of where that's been all the resources they needed for the students. I had a waste of resources. And I was thinking about the program or my elementary school experience where it was all this genius there, but then it was just some different factors that contributed to the educational outcome. So as I got ready to go to college, I just told myself I'm going to a black school because I needed to get back grounded with the values of my people. Because I still hung out with my friends and everything outside of school, but I still didn't have that base that I needed. I felt like to continue to get, I didn't have the perspective that I felt like I needed. So I ended up going to North Carolina A&T where I was majoring in animal science. And as I started reading more, I used to literally go to the Black Studies section of the library, like rent books and or sit there and just read all day. There's different ideologies from Elijah Muhammad to Marcus Garvey, Martin Delany, anything I can grab, I'll read. And I started to see that we had, as black people, we have to change our perspective of how we look at ourselves and lose the individual mindset and really embrace the whole concept of us being a nation within another nation. And that's more so of, we're a collective of African people with the American title that are in this space where we're trying to fit the norms of the larger society, and it doesn't necessarily fare out well for us, for the collective. Some individuals do very well in it, but that's just part of the model that perpetuates the system of racism. But we can talk about that later. But I just wanted to make sure that as I was picking a career, I was choosing something that could help me get back to black people. And what I found out was that laboratory animal science wasn't my passion. But what was my passion was working hands-on and working outside and working with animals, and then eventually working with crops. So junior year, I met a really cool professor, and it was in the swine production class. And he invited me out to the swine network at A&T, and I had a job in research. I was a research assistant. And we worked with Berkshire, and I learned so much. I literally could run a small-scale swine production. That would probably come quicker to me than any other concepts in the beekeeping and the crops, because I did it first, I did it for so long. And I just learned the system in and out. And even though I didn't like how clean or how dirty the pigs are, I did embrace the experience and learn as much about them as I could in that industry. So after that experience, I ended up getting another internship with the professor in the ag econ department, and it was really cool. And I enjoyed just working with him. We did some research on food preferences in Ghana, and once that was over, and I kept talking about the idea, like now about my junior year, like I'm expressing my ideas publicly. I ended up becoming the president of the Black History Club at North Carolina A&T. We ended up going back and forth to the administration. So people are starting to like notice like this guy. It's like he's saying something. I'm saying things now. I was saying things then that like all the people who didn't listen to us back then are saying now. Like just they're seeing the issue with the system. And what ended up happening was we started to garner more people started to find out about the identity of being a farmer. So I was in an agroforestry class, and my professor introduced me to a black farmer in Cleansville, right outside of Greensboro. And once I started working with him, that's when like everything hit me. I'm just like, something's not right, because he's just trying to get into farming, and he had no funding. He was leasing land from somebody, caught that cycle, and we would go to the farmers market, sell products. And I'm just like, I don't think it's sustainable long term. So in this, I'm just trying to figure out my place in it and how I can do things a different way. Around that time, I also met my girlfriend at the time, but that's just my wife. And we were having our first child. So I'm literally seeing all these different things going on. I'm trying to figure out how can I always make sure my son can eat. And during this time, I worked with the farmer, and then I said, you know what? We should start a dehydrated food company, because we come back from the farmers markets and we wouldn't be able to, like with the food we couldn't sell, we would try to eat it or just give it away. And it's like, that doesn't work. So I started dehydrating products and selling them. And the way that I did it was I wanted to create a business that changed the way Black people ate. I wanted to help change our consumption habits. And we would dehydrate these fruits and put the fruits into a form that we were familiar with, like a lazy potato chip. And people loved it. So we kept building off that idea. And people would always ask me every time I was at events, like, hey, you have a farm? Because the name was, at the time, was Insecurity Farms. And I would just be like, well, no, I'm trying to get one. But I really didn't have an idea of how to do it at that time. But one of my professors, when I worked on my master's, like when we had my child and everything, he suggested that I look into the USDA Farm Service Agency program. And with my background already, with the history, I already knew, I had an idea of how they treated Black people in agriculture. So luckily, when I was looking for help with the application, I found one of the agents who actually, she actually was very familiar with the process because she did it for another region. And she said, I'll help guide you through this application process. But the agent who I was turning the application in had no idea. So while we're going through this process, it was like he started giving me a runaround. Call them to see, hey, what's the status of the application, this. They started blaming the fact that they didn't have the information on each other. It was like 3 people in the work. It was a mess. It was like, they'll give me the runaround. And I got ready to quit at one point, but the agent that was helping me behind the scenes, she mentioned to me, she said, if you don't go through this with this now, and their executive director position is based on whatever party's the majority, or whoever, it's basically the presidency, like his party affiliation. And I think they call it a partisan position, a bipartisan position. And she said, this is during the time Obama was in, she was like, you need to go ahead with this application because you don't know who our next president is going to be. And I'm happy I listened to her, thinking back on it. Because I literally was at the copier, literally like getting ready to trying to scan the application over. And one of the papers got like stuck and the staple got caught. And I was like, man, I'm done with this. This is dumb, wasting my time and giving me a runaround. These people are being complicated. I was hoping they had a farm. I was just funding myself. That's what I was thinking about at the time. But when I had that conversation with her, it changed my perspective on going further with the process. And once we did, I can remember sitting in with the agent. He looked me dead in my eyes. And he literally said to me, I never forget it. He said, this is one of the best well put together applications that have ever come across my desk. Looks in my eyes and says, and he said, I'm going to give you our final decision in a couple of days. Called me back 3 days later, and he told me, he was like, hey, we decided to go forward with the application. So I'm sitting here looking like I had to help him back in. I mean, all the criteria, but still not. So this was just like one of those eye-opening experiences where I'm thinking like, hey man, look, I already got this far. I already thought about quitting. I'm gonna appeal it, and we're gonna take this thing all the way to Washington D.C. physically like I gotta be. That's really what I'm thinking. And I'm also thinking on the other end, if I'm trying to get a farm, I was like 23, 24 at the time, and I'm trying to get a farm now. What about black kids who are younger than, like who are younger, or just like adolescents who want to go on a farm? How do they get in? And if you don't have the capital up front, you have to get a loan, which most of us don't have. So I'm thinking, how can I change that? And that was the beginning of me starting to think about how to incorporate the youth. Because I'm like, all right, I'll take a bullet. It's gonna be hard for me. But the students I work with, if they want to buy a farm, it shouldn't be hard for them. And then my kids, if they want to go on a farm, it shouldn't be hard for anybody's kids. They want to go on a farm, and they should know, like, I have a resource that I can reach out to that I don't have to deal with and run around and get denied after I meet all the criteria. It's like really ridiculous. So we ended up getting the farm, and during this time, I'm literally becoming a school teacher at the same time. Like getting the farm, becoming a school teacher. And we're starting this agriculture program at the school, and I saw how the students gravitated toward it. And it's like a Title I school, they're talking about the kids and we come in bad environments, not gonna make it, blah, 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 all that rhetoric that doesn't mean anything. And the students literally changed like how they behave at home, they changed their perspectives, they began to. And you know what? I'm tired of these people, I'm tired of structure, it's gonna take me to the farm. And once we decided that was in 2016, we just been hitting the ground running. That's a good question. I think that I don't think they realize how, like, the path of greatness that they've embarked on. I don't think they see it. I think they just look at it more so as they know they help the community. They know that there are societal issues going on, but I don't think they understand like how they're providing food and nourishment to other people, because they're still teenagers, and like the youngest student is 13, and they're just like still in that phase where they're figuring things out, seeing things what they are. But I mean, they may. I'll ask them. So we Sankofa, because it's not a me thing. It's me, Devin, Jamal, my brother, Amber, my wife, Marcus, who's all our financial stuff. Katarina, she does our CSA. So it's a lot of people that like behind the scenes that you might not always see. Students, of course. So we found out about the Fight for 15 when Clara reached out to me and told me about the idea and asked if we have produce. And at first, I was just like, yeah, we have produce. It's like, you have to like kind of get out of like the capitalist mindset, like trying to always make money. And I'm just like, she was telling me about what they want to do. And I was just like, well, you all would save more money if you just bought 10 shares in the CSA and not things individually, because the price will fluctuate. So when she was like, oh yeah, I like that idea. They bought 10 shares of our CSA. We told we can have the food, and we're literally get up at 5 a.m. in the morning to pack boxes to bring them to 5:15 to drop off location. So there's another community partner we work with, Communities in Partnership, CIP, here in Durham. They do a lot of great work with food distribution in East Durham. And I met them just through being in the food scene in Durham and being out in the communities. We always meet people we network with. So that's how we met. That's how we started working with organizations. And the question about how to locate the food deserts. Typically, the food deserts have the same model. They have the same stores, they have the same demographic. So like I can literally drive into an area where I don't have the data on. about everything food does. It's literally the same mode. So just being able to identify the areas and identify the students. Not all of us are different food dealers, but to have them be able to understand the issue of it, I think it's something that like they really have started to embrace. We all have. I can recall it sometimes on the way to the farm, we might be rushing, we might stop at McDonald's or something. And one of the students, he said, "Miss, I'm tired of eating this mess." He was like, I want to eat healthy. Where can we go get some good food? And I was like, all right, like, just clicking. So those are the type of moments that make it all worth it. Because we're working with a specific demographic, right now we're with African American kids. I want them to, if they didn't want anything else from the farm, I want them to know that they're African and their image and how they perceive themselves, we're African people here and there. And for us to realize that is the first step to us developing sovereignty, nationhood, community with one another. That's the first thing. Because through that perspective of themselves, they're going to be able to help not only their people but other groups of people too. And it's like embrace your history. And there are bad parts of history on our side too. So just being able to have the mindset to learn those things, because then be able to look at problems and taking information and knowing that you're going to help your people. I literally ask myself, like, it's like almost like ingrained in my mind, like, is what I'm doing helping people? Like, I literally always ask that question because we can have the intent to, but if the outcome is racist, you just perpetuate the same cycle. So we have to be very careful in how, and I think it goes into our approach. We do things, I'm not gonna say at our own pace, but we try to do them naturally, not rush, because we can get lost, like you can feature this thing, you feature that thing, but you have to think about how this can be used to further educate and get yourself in front of people. Because if a lot of I know I wanted to be an athlete at one point, that's all I saw. So what happens if you see a new image of an African man, like that's out learning skills, working with youth, then you see the youth, like what happens if you see those images, what would that spark in our kids? So I think about it a lot in the long term, how the imagery and how we interpret the information, how it plays on our perspective of life.